Good morning, good evening, and good night. In other words, greetings and salutations, everyone. This fine day that I find myself in today is one where I will invite you into this domain where I happen to have the floor. And I'd like to unpack my experience. You see, life is this funny thing. You can break it into two categories. You can break it into a spectrum of categories. An infinite shades of life. But for convenience's sake, to really paint with broad strokes, to make something interesting of this, I'll say, hey, let's make it binary, on or off. Life is a funny thing. You can find yourself in two distinct modes at which you're operating. And then under each of those is a whole fractal of things to break it down into from there. Moving forward, it's just infinite fractals and forks and various places to take it. You're either moving unconsciously or you're moving consciously. Either every decision, you're in the state where every decision is something that you're making methodically, intentionally, thoughtfully, or you're doing it mindlessly. You're doing it habitually. So you see, my life is a plot point in the 24 hours you get in a day of getting from A to Z. How can I get from A to Z every day? You see, sometimes I'll find myself laboriously getting myself from A to Z. Willing myself, mustering the contractions along, muscling my way through A to Z. Arduously trudging from A to Z. Filling the bathtub full of water, all while the plug is nowhere to be found. filling while simultaneously being drained. And getting myself from A to Z. This happens when the cops in my own mind are patrolling. Hey, we're on the clock. Hey, tick, tick, tick. Hey, what time is it? Hey, what time is that? How long did that take? What are we doing? And I gotta micromanaging every minute, every moment. What is the most efficient way to do? And so on and so forth. Other times in my life, the world is my canvas. You see, it's in these moments from getting myself from A to Z that I notice on my journey from A to B, or from D to E. I will notice the infinitesimally small, fractional, minimal moments. The decisions between decisions. The space between words. And oh boy, do I love that kind of life. Let me take it into the specifics for you. You see, I had a plan today. I had a little rough draft of things that I would like to put my effort towards accomplishing today. It was incline bench, dumbbell press today. It was triceps and chest today. A little bit of traps today. You see, I just got a 40-pound weight vest. And after an 11-mile ruck, I decided to stop and dip into the park. A little touch-and-go action on the dip station with my 40-pound vest. Traps burning, rhomboids rumbling. And bust out 6-7 sets of dips till failure. Kickers! That was epic. I enjoyed that. I liked that. It was good. Came home. Turn on Rick Rubin's The Creative Act. And this gave me some inspiration. Just the titles of his chapters gave me the sort of insight to highlight my own sense of intuition as to how to guide my day. In a way that felt less laborious and more filled with wonder and some sort of mysterious majestic mystical silhouette of love, looking behind an opaque piece of glass and seeing something behind that, seeing some sort of life form behind that, and letting my imagination sort of paint the picture of all the undefined, frayed edges of everything that is not certain and clear. And oh boy, was that one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. Synesthesia, a full body experience. A blending of feelings and sensations and smells, sights, melodies, energies, and so on and so forth. And so you see, it's chest and try day. You know, I really focused getting those traps, getting those rhomboids, those stabilizer back muscles, the glutes, the quads, the calves, various leg muscles, muscles in the feet to keep myself upright. With the ruck, the dips, really tried to focus on the triceps. And here, I'm targeting the chest. Or so I thought. You see, this is the kind of moment that you find yourself in where if you hold it too tightly, you lose it. You know, if I allow myself to become too rigid, I break. I become brittle in my pursuit of getting from A to B. I came down into the garage. You know, let me back it up a little bit. I took some pre-workout. I loaded up some pre-workout in a little shaker bottle. Sat down and drank it after I meditated for 6 minutes that I put on a timer. And that meditation was beautiful. What made it so beautiful is that I just gave myself a little bit of time to not do anything. Just to see what would happen. 6 minutes, nothing. Literally just sitting. And I decided to see what would happen in that space. And what I got to notice was the nature of my own mind. A few tidbits. You know, as I sat there, originally, I sat there in the position that I would naturally normally be in. Kind of slouched back, my feet were angular, they were together but not firmly planted on the ground, blah, 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 yada, yada. And then I thought to myself, okay, let's assume a position. I thought of David Nichtern. I was like, he says when you meditate as if you were a warrior, so I adjust my posture, I sit up, I get back in the seat, I straighten my spine, feet firmly planted on the ground, hands at the thighs as opposed to resting on my abdomen or my breathing. I don't want to affect my breathing apparatus. And it was in that moment that I really got to notice that there is no proper way to do meditation. There isn't a form that you should assume, and there's not a form that you should adhere to. And that I noticed that whatever form that I was attempting to mold myself into in that moment, I recognized that this way of action was not it. It's not to imitate one who meditates, by assuming the physicality of that. So, as soon as that sort of structure began to atomize, immediately I recognized what was happening, and I let go of that, and I was like, no, it's, you gotta be as you are. I mean, what the hell what are you gonna do otherwise? I mean, you are either as you are, or you are imitating something that you think you should be. Or you're simply just, roomy, let the caller and the call fade, get lost in the call. You get lost in the sauce. Gucci said, don't get lost in the sauce. And you shouldn't. The other day, I was introduced to a homemade protein bar recipe. And so what that inspired me to do was just kind of take loosely the idea and then do it on my own. It simply inspired me to make my own. I was like, okay, so he used these ingredients, and I was like, yeah, I'm definitely sort of on the trend of not wanting to use seed oils and something that is ultra-processed and it's got a whole bunch of freaking words that I can't pronounce, just scientific chemicals and synthesized this and that, and, what are we doing? I'm really on this less is more trend, and so... for as much as your boy loves a Quest bar, I'm also on a quest to do less of that and perhaps a little bit more of my own thing. So I made some homemade protein bars with the influence inspired by a YouTube short. Blended some oats, blended a whole bunch of hazelnuts, chia seeds, a little bit of milk, protein powder, organic maple syrup, or keyword organic, of course. 3.33 repeating, of course. I just went in, Leroy Jenkins that shit. Eyeballed everything. I've got an eye for ratios. Who cares? Just put it in, see what happens when it comes out, and then whatever. Anywho, first batch came out amazing. I don't know the macros on that. Don't care. It's not that important. Because something that I've also realized is you can look A1 steak sauce. You can look like candy paint with the white on top. Lambo doors with the woo wop drop. But if you don't feel like that, I mean, you don't move like that. It's body dysmorphia. It's you can look great, but if you don't feel great, hey, there's still a bridge to be gap. There's still a gap to be bridged in that experience. J. Cole, I'll never feel your approval till I accept my own. Come from a messed up home, destitute and less informed. And the home being you, being your vessel, being the whole holistic picture of mind, body, soul, and spirit. Not necessarily who you surround yourself with, not necessarily what your environment is, but your impact, how you affect, your participation in it. So the first batch of protein bars, they came out freaking amazing. I did like a chocolate version. Today, I came out with the freaking the hazelnut, cinnamon, vanilla sort of variant. Oh, I'm excited about that. Can't wait to see what those are gonna be like. But to be honest with you, there's so many other things that make up an experience, and It's subtle. Jaden Smith, you could miss perfection in it because it's subtle. I mean, you think that, oh, if you have that shirt that it makes a silhouette on you, that it makes you look like this, oh my God, that's what you want. Oh my God, if you achieve a thing that tastes a certain way, that's, oh my. It's a process, you gotta believe me. They say it all the time, it's the journey, not the destination. I promise you, like, all of the forearm work that went into kneading that dough with the fork, the extra splash of milk to get it to the right moisture, and whatever, everything that went into this second batch is just going to make it that much more delicious. That when I pull it out of the freezer in a little bit, that it's gonna be a whole body experience, bro. I'm not just gonna take it out and chomp it up. Oh, this has got the good macros. This has got the protein. It's gonna be everything. It's gonna be a buildup of something beautiful. And in that moment, I get, oh my God. It just gets to be another little moment that I got to really enjoy the fruits of the labor, which gets me into this next part. I took that I took that pre-workout. I sat with the intention to come down in the garage and pump some iron. Right? Apparently and obviously. But I took that pre-workout. And I thought, hey, what's calling me in this moment? Looked over at my notebook, my sketchbook. Looked over at my sketchbook. It was flipped to a page where I had some art on it already. And, everything is fuel. Everything can be used as fuel. Everything can be a refractory point at which to gain insight as to where to take the next thing. In that moment, I was playing around with the color orange. I thought what the shape of the thing, the form of the thing, even the color of the thing, it had a whole bunch of themes tying it together. I thought it was bodacious as hell. It was cool as frick, cool as fudge. There was something about it. It was kind of like, hey, I mean, It was already at the point of no return, you can say. I mean, every additive from this point would simply take away. At this point, it was at that 99.99%. All it needed was a garnish. All it needed was a salt bay to come through and just maybe a little spritz of pepper. Bam! Take it to Flavor Town. And so I was in that moment. I was just patient with it. Hey, what's going on here? Okay, I'll just add a little bit of here, and that'll be that, and then I'll move on. Whatever. That's nice, because it was cool. It was cool, and I thought, how can I make it even better? And I was like, yeah, there's not a whole lot to do. I don't got a lot of leeway and wiggle room. Super cool as it was, it You can't muscle these kinds of things into existence. When cooking a small fish, beware of too much poking. You could ruin it. You want to get a nice sear on that thing. You don't want to move it around too much. Break the sear. Now your pan's all sticky. Too much prodding can really affect something. So I flipped up freaking page fueled by pre-workout. Hey, and I just let myself dance. I took every decision. I was thoughtful, intentional about it. Hey, what is attracting me? What is magnetizing me in this moment? What is interesting to me about this? What is just calling something inside of me like, hey, this would be freaking... I like this for whatever reason. And so I let the kid pilot the vehicle, man. I let him sit on my lap. I let him engage with the stick shift as I hit the clutch, as I was in control of the transmission. I told him when to flip the stick shift. He would steer with the steering wheel. I would control the gas. We had a cool little thing going on. You know, I got to have that experience as a kid growing up, and that was the freaking best. That was one of the greatest relationships ever. And so that's a principle that is very touch and go for me. Come back to it, land on it, dip out. It was very influential to me, and I value it. I cherish it. And in doing so, it has guided me to this day. I picked out some colors that I enjoyed, that were calling to me. Earth tones, neutrals. Things that are complementary to each other. That flow together as opposed to crashing with each other. Or adverse to the dynamic that analogous colors have. Contrasting colors. Red and blue. You know, things that create some sort of dynamicism. But instead, create some sort of holistic coming together. A theme, if you will, that work together. Gray, beige, darker gray, sand, taupe, light brown, dark tan, light wood, dark birch, light cardboard, acacia. Anyhow, I was flowing with it, dude. Fueled by pre-workout. Fudging pre-workout. And that was ethereal. It was ethereal to be very meticulous about every decision. It's a nice mode of being to be in. and I enjoy it thoroughly. And so right now, upstairs, on my desk waiting for me, is a work of art that's probably about 90% done. And in this one, I was thinking of the 60-30-10 rule. Samurai Jack sort of aesthetic. 60% of the piece is created by one color, 30% by another, 10% by another. And, ooh, boy, do I like that look right now. Very much so. I like a little pop. I like a little sort of tertiary pizzazz to something. And I like how there's a holding that happens by that 60%. And then I like how that 30% comes in and supports, but offsets that sort of main structure, that whatever your main essence of a piece brings in. And then that 10%, those little tiny details. I freak with it. That's just my, You know, it gives me the stank face. That's how I knew it was hot. You know, I was in the passenger and I was on the aux type beat. And so, when I sort of hit a point where the flow became more of an arduous thing, and things were less apparent to me, which moves to me, I said, fuck it. Why push in this direction? What is the freaking point to push in this direction, to really freaking muscle the art? What is the point of muscling that kind of thing through? So I said, hey, we're stepping back. We're moving away from this. We're moving to something else. Fueled by the pre-workout. Ugh. I sort of rumbled out of that chair and downstairs, sore from the ruck with the pack, sore from a leg day that I hit yesterday, stumbled, trundled, whoa, down them steps, popped open that garage door, and everything, oh my God, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. Ah. You see, something that I just love is you can become very unconscious in your day-to-day, and you can find yourself in a mode of being where you will find something that is calling you to do, and you'll be frustrated about that. And you know what? Anger is healthy. And I get it. You know, sometimes, you will always do the dishes, and they're clean, and the sink is empty, and the countertops are nice. And then someone else just doesn't do that, and it's filled with their shit, and there's trash everywhere, food rotting in real time, and you just, what the, things aren't how I want them to be, so I'm upset. And you know what, there are times, what's there to say about that, besides there are times where that is how things are. No harm, no foul. Who cares? Other times, you walk into a mess of a garage, and you were the main proponent of that. And in this case, yes, sir, I was the main proponent of the mess that was before me. Barbell loaded with 225 just sitting there on the ground, not even perched up, ready to be benched. Various weights thrown all about, strewn trash from various art projects in the making. Other things just looking unkempt, untidy. No sense of order anywhere. Organized confusion. I like that one. Whole lot of organized confusion in one space. And it was in this moment I got to partake in something that I love, and that is form, movement, rhythm. The whole gambit of experience, my man. I got to move around on my journey from A to B, going from I got to go from point 1 to point 2 to point 3 to point 4. I got to go from 1A to 1B to 1C to 1D to D to... I got to enjoy the cleaning. Hey, I got to enjoy the cleaning, man. Because now, here's where I'm at. I find myself about to leave you. I find that the incline dumbbell press is calling me. He's saying, hey, come over here and gugush. Gugush a few times. Come on, gugush. And I also find that my space is just how I want it to be. And that I enjoyed the process of ordering it in such a way that it is now in this state. One little tiny moment that I really want to just touch and go on here is some things are insignificant. You know, time and place, set and setting. Some days, making my bed in the morning, hey, I've got other priorities. I've got other things that are more important to me. I can live with some disorder here. I'm cool with that. But when push come to shove, when your boy come to gugush, when I've got the time, and I've got that sort of itch, I've got that sort of drive and desire to make things just as I want them to be, my particular preferences, that I get to sweep. I can't lift any of these things until I sweep out all the leaves off of the floor, man. And it's not that I can't. It's that I prefer not to. And so I noticed, 99.99%, all the leaves, all the little flakes of dust and little bits of dirt and just little dust mites and dust bunnies on the floor that when you step on with a sock, you feel it and it sticks. And it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not your preference. I got all them things out, man. There was one leaf just there. And I thought to myself in that moment, I was like, yeah, this thing, it's not like it's really gonna... It's not life or death, but... It's gonna put me into a certain mental space, a kind of pocket dimension in the mind, psychologically, mentally, emotionally. And that's gonna affect me physically. That's gonna give me a different kind of mind muscle connection. I'm not just moving the things to move the things. You feel me? I want to feel it. And I want to feel it through the full range. I want to feel it through the stretch. I want to feel it through the squeeze. I want to feel it at the top. I want to feel it in the middle. I want to feel it at the bottom. I want to feel it through and through. And somehow, whipping out the old broom, and getting this one goddamn leaf out the place. This is part of that. This is part of that. And so, hey, man, I'm going, all right? I'm going. I love this, bro. I love this. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you so much for being methodical and thoughtful when it comes to each decision. And thinking about what is the current effect of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. What is the impact on me, on the others, on the greater world at large? And just being mindful of that. Because on one hand, you will never, it is a mystery forever. You will never be able to quantify and really set in stone and really capitulate all of everything that it is to be. Because it is a sort of infinity. A ceaseless string of coding, overcoding, undercoding that will continuously atomize. But by doing a 4x4, intentionally sectioning off of something and making something as good as it can possibly be, it has a profound difference in the world, in your experience, in the experience that others have when you share the same environment, and things change in your wake. Things change as you affect them. And so that is good. That is good, and the fruits are delicious. Yes, sir, they are delicious and nutritious. Healthy and sustainably sourced. Cruelty-free. Locally grown. and things could be nice. So don't let yourself fall victim to a past version of you as authority. Hey, we're going to get this done, and we're going to do it. And then you just become a drone mindlessly putting in effort to get the thing finished and to take yourself out of the present moment where a mystical world can be tapped into, tuned into, and you get to enjoy the present moment in a way that you never could have dreamed of personally. It's an encounter with a sort of experience, something novel. So my boy, not too loose, not too tight. Keep it in the middle. Feel all right? Something like that. Something like that. So, dude, I've enjoyed this thoroughly. And I will enjoy this again and again and again in so many different kinds of ways, I'm sure, in the future. And so, on that note, thank you so much. And goodbye. I'll see you later.